year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years. Like, we have to be looking, like, I'm playing for the next 100 years. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, the songs that I create nowadays is like, y'all may not understand it, y'all may not get it, but it's just like,
51?
it's all fast, bro. It's all fast. So it's just like, I push y'all, like, I would challenge y'all as creatives, as fellow creatives to challenge yourselves to create something that lasts beyond you. Right? What happens when iTunes no longer exists?
Timeless.
How does your music make it past there? Right? So it's just like, I would just challenge y'all to do more.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Let's get it.
All right, go ahead.
Turn me up a little bit. The beat up. Look. I woke up this morning and I'm breathing. I just hope we make it through the weekend. You can call me Irvin for the evening, 'cause I done left LeBron and Five in Cleveland. Feel like I'm about to jump the deep end. I've been at the same couple seasons. People out here living like a heathen. Every reason why we still ain't speaking. I am not influenced, I influence. Tell me what you heard about the movement. You do it, you ain't do it. I guess I had a beat, don't wanna do it. I woke up this morning and I'm breathing. I just hope I make it through the weekend.
We breathing. My boy Spazzy.
Man, I thought I told you I am not pop. I sent a couple coupons to your box top. I was trying to save you from yourself. Had your head up in the clouds, heavy loaded like a drop box. Can I drop some knowledge from a drop top? Can I get the same privilege as Pop got? Cops out here shooting without shot clocks. Blood is in the water, now the block's hot. He woke up this morning, he ain't breathing. He woke up this morning, now he breathing.
Hold up.
I woke up this morning and I'm breathing. I just hope I make it through the weekend. I said I woke up this morning and I'm breathing. I just hope we make it through the weekend. I go by the name of Joshua. I love you all. Have a good night.
I just hope I make it through the weekend. That's it. That's what I make it through the weekend.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Yo, make some noise for homie Joshua one time.
Welcome to Crazy Good Talks.
My name is Joshua, and this is the podcast dedicated to helping you confidently live tomorrow by courageously evaluating today. I believe experience is knowledge and knowledge is wisdom, so I'm sharing some of what life has taught me, as well as interviewing everyday people with the hopes to encourage you through your personal journey. Well, let's go. So in today's episode, we're gonna do three things. First, I'm gonna have a quick dialogue around the value of doing things when no one is watching. Next, I'm gonna have a guest on to talk about what she's been up to during these quarantine times. And then finally, I'm gonna share some ways that we can overcome that fear of rejection that comes with trying to do what we feel like we're called to do. Now, if you don't know, I am fully producing this podcast, so you will see my hands move a little bit down here and my eyes move a little to the left sometimes because I'm producing this. So mind your business. Now, to set it all up, I think just to kind of give context. So some people know me. Some people know that outside of podcasting, like I've been a recording artist. I've been doing music for about the last 10 years now, which is kind of crazy to say. I remember that was always like my goal was to get to the 10-year mark. And man, I've seen highs, I've seen lows, I've seen peaks, I've seen valleys. And it's just been crazy. Like I've invested thousands of hours into music, music videos, kind of invested tens of thousands of dollars into what I do. It's just been very interesting throughout the years to kind of see that dynamic. And the number one question people always ask me is why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Now, people don't necessarily ask me that face to face, but body language, when I start talking to people about how much I've invested, and then when I start talking to people about how many songs I've created, when I start talking to people about what music videos like and what the process is for all of that, it kind of look at me why are you going that hard, right? And it's kind of crazy because I'm just okay, I kind of get it. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of those things. And then I think especially when you're not necessarily attaining the results that you want, you're not necessarily attaining the number of streams that you want or the number of views that you want. Why are you still going so hard when you kind of have this, what do you kind of have to show for it? So interesting, funny enough, a few months ago, I was having a conversation with my cousin, Chris, and put him all on blast. But I was having a conversation with him, and I remember, I forgot what it was that we were talking about, but I remember showing him my business plan for music and me tracking the producers and how many songs I had and then transcribing all of my lyrics onto the thing. And he basically asked me why do you continue to do all of this when you haven't even come close to where you want to be, dummy? Well, he wasn't that brave, okay? He wasn't that brave to say that, but he might as well have said that because I'm a blunt person, so just put it to me straight, right? So after he had said that, it was a little frustrating for me. I'm not gonna lie. Just realizing yeah, man, he's actually kind of right. Why am I going so hard? Why have I put all this money that I could have invested into something else, into my future, into getting ready for a crib or this or that? I've dumped everything into this passion or to this dream. Why is it that I've done that when I could have done other things? And the results that I necessarily want, it didn't necessarily breed those results. It helped, but it didn't necessarily breed the results that I wanted. So I was very frustrated. I was just I had some real conversations with God, and just venting my mind. And I can remember I I can remember it just being a really frustrating time. And I would imagine that some of us listening today, like, have found ourselves in a similar situation, right? When like you're in the context of relationship and like you're giving this person your all, or like you're doing all of these little things to let them know how much they mean to you, and all like you don't feel like it's registering, or like the sacrifices that you make, or the fact that you feel like you're making, or just loving in a way, and you don't feel like it's like you don't feel like it translate. And then just like even in the context of family, right? In family, like you can be very merciful with that brother, or very merciful, gracious to that sister, and let them make mistakes, and like don't call them out on it. Kind of just sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, keep things moving. But the minute you make a mistake, everybody's at your neck. Like you don't get that same grace. You know what I mean? Like, and then even just like, even in the context of these days, like in quarantine, where it's like some of us are going to work, some of us are not going to work, right? And like in the midst of all of this, while trying to figure out life, you commit to still doing your best at work. But then you get to work and all they're doing is pulling and pulling and pulling from you. Like, is that frustration of just like how you feeling like, yo, what I'm putting in, or like why I'm trying to do my best, or I'm trying to do this or that. And you feel like it's not like, why, for what? So essentially, like I was super frustrated. I'm having a conversation with God, and like a few days later, it's just like, I remember thinking to myself, I was upset. But then the phrase came to me in the midst of that frustration, and it was just like, even when no one is watching. That's all it said. It said, even when no one is watching. And what does that necessarily mean, right? What does that, even when no one is watching, what do I mean by that? I felt like, I don't know, the phrases came to my mind, and it was just like, I felt like, keep writing songs even when no one is watching. Keep giving even when no one is watching. Keep working with the best producers as far as like music videos and this and that. Keep investing in what it is that you're doing even when no one is watching. Keep preparing your business plan, your this, your that, even when no one is watching. And it's just like, I feel like I want to speak that over y'all right now. I want to speak that over everybody that's kind of listening to this. It's just like, keep doing what you're doing even when no one is watching, right? Keep writing those movie scripts even when no one is watching. Keep doing hair. Keep on cooking if your dream is that, or whatever the case may be, but keep on doing what is right. Like, keep on doing what you feel that you're called to do. Whether it's going out there and doing something that's in the eyes of everyone else that you're just not getting recognition for, or whether it's as simple as like choosing to love in one-on-one circumstances. Keep on doing that despite everything. Continue to do that when no one is watching, right? And why, right? So you would ask, like, why? Like, Josh, like, cool, okay, keep doing what I feel like I'm called to do even when no one's watching. Cool. But like the moment why is it, I have a lot of thoughts right now. Why is it that is important? And I think because the moment you measure your success based off of whether your vision has materialized, you become a candidate for discouragement and disappointment, right? Those aren't my words. That's some Andy Stanley. But in other words, I feel like what he was trying to say is just like, in other words, the moment you start doing things because of what it can or should bring to you, you make yourself eligible to be salty. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're asking yourself to be, you're opening yourself up to be disappointed. So it's just like, so what you're asking, so it's just like, so what? Like, right? So what? And I'm just like, some people may be listening to this and be thinking to themselves, like, why should I learn to be better equipped to do that? Why do I need to do that? I don't necessarily care to do that. I think more people will probably be in the vein of like the feeling of rejection, or not being accepted or not getting that recognition. It hurts too much. It outweighs actually doing something. So why should I do something? And I can sit here and tell you many things right now, but the thing that I would tell you, the thing I want to tell you today is because you don't know who you are inspiring, right? You don't know who's watching you, right? You don't know who's waiting for you to plant that seed in the form of giving that haircut or writing that blog or cooking that meal. You don't know that what you thought wasn't good enough was good enough to change the trajectory of somebody's life forever. Right? So it's just like, so Josh, how do I put myself in that mind frame to do what I need to do even when no one is watching? Well, I'm glad you asked that. But before we get to that, we're gonna have a short interview with Laurel. Coming up, she's from Danbury, Connecticut, and just stay tuned for that. It's funny because if you would have told me that I'd be coming from being in a group with the young boys back in the day to rapping on my own and then to doing podcasts and just speaking, it's just I never would have thought that was the path that I was on, but I embrace what it comes with. Well, it started by me just wanting to be able to talk outside of rap, right? It's just like in rap I have to find ways to rhyme what I want to say, and I'm confined to this box. I think it's very important as far as what you're consuming nowadays on a day-to-day. There's so much content to consume, so it's just like I said, I'm very big on trying to listen to different things that help me grow and challenge me thought-wise, provoke me. I've just always been into that type of content, so it was only a natural shift for me. It only made sense for me to want to put the Crazy Good Talk up on Apple Music and Spotify, so that people can easily within their flow kind of listen to different episodes whenever they want, here or there, as an alternative to listening to my music. My name is Joshua. Let's talk.
Hey everybody, so a couple of weeks ago I had posted on my Instagram that I had a cell phone and I was thinking about giving it away to somebody to bless somebody with it who can't afford it. I think a lot of people thought I was joking because I got like 0 responses. Like, I've been contemplating too about whether or not I should sell it, because I can sell it. And just so you guys don't think I'm like joking, here's the iPhone X, I believe. 256 gigabytes. Everything's included. Phone, charger, headphones. It's AT&T. Anyways, so I was watching Michael Todd's sermon. He's talking about obedience and being a devoted disciple. And I'll be real, I've not 100%, not like I've done in the past. And God was like, I told you to give away this phone to somebody, to bless somebody with it. Yes, you can sell it, but then you're gonna miss out on blessing that I'm trying to give you. But I told you to bless somebody with this phone that can't afford it. God told me to bless somebody, and I gotta obey him.
All right, guys, so today we have Laurel joining us from Connecticut. And funny story with Laurel. So I was actually scrolling through my news feed on Facebook, and then I seen Laurel was giving something away. So go ahead, Laurel. Tell us what you were giving away.
So I'm actually giving away an iPhone X, 256 gigabytes, and I want to give this away because I got another phone, and I got this one fixed, and I got a whole new phone. But guy was like, "Oh, you should give it away." But I was like, I can use the money. I can sell this. I can get an easy $1,000 out of this because everything's brand new, paid off, all that good stuff. And I was contemplating with it for like a few weeks, and then I was actually watching Michael Todd's sermon, where he was talking about pretty much like how we should be devoted disciple and like just like who you are in God and not being a disobedient disciple or slowly to disobedient. And I just felt convicted in that moment. I felt like God was like, I told you to do something and you've been hesitant with it. So I was like, all right, God, all right, let me do a little giveaway. Because fun fact, I actually said I was going to try to give away a phone like a couple of weeks prior, and nobody thought I was serious. I think everybody thought I was trying to scam somebody. I got like one response, and I was like, all right. I just did like a little post. I didn't even post a video or anything. So after the sermon, I made a video, and then I posted it more and put a story like, hey, I want you guys to submit a paragraph on why you believe either you or somebody deserves this blessing. It has, yes, COVID-19 going on, but honestly, it was just something in my heart prior to that, and I just wanted to, do God's will, if you will, and bless somebody like that's not expecting it, who's not asking for it. So I put the post on there, and I started getting responses, and I saw that it was legit.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. So I think what stood out to me for Laura especially was just the fact that she has seen Michael Todd's sermon. I had actually been watching Michael Todd's sermon, and part of the reason why I started back up this podcast and everything was the conviction that I felt in just being able to give and to help others. Even I think especially for me being in a position where it's just like I don't feel like I have a ton to give or whatever the case may be, but starting with what it is that I have. So I was super encouraged by Laurel being encouraged and submitting to what it is that she felt like God was telling her to do, and giving away the phone instead of trying to sell it or whatever the case may be. So I thought that was super cool. So we had submissions. He had people come in, fill things out.
So like I had like stories and people submitting themselves or their loved ones or whatever. But when I read this person's submission, it wasn't for herself. It was actually for her father. And I don't know, like immediately when I read it, God was like, this is the person you should pick. But I was still trying to get more responses. So I was still sending out the post and the video, trying to see like, okay, God, is there somebody more needed of this? And even then, he was convicting me again, like, you already found your person. Why are you still looking? And I just wanted to give more people a chance and an opportunity, because again, I just felt like people thought that this was a gimmick or something, and I would never do that. Like you were saying, don't have much to give, and I'm not rich or anything, but I have God. And so the fact that I know him by doing something like this, if that person doesn't know God, then I feel like they would come to know him.
Yeah.
And just by doing the kindness of paying it forward.
Yep.
So the girl's name is Erica. That's my winner. That's who I picked. She doesn't know it yet. We're gonna surprise her in a little bit.
So Laura is going to be giving the phone to her so that she can give to her father, which is going to be super great. I thought that was so dope what she was doing. I asked her if I can partner with her because I just thought what she was doing was amazing. Like I said, we're normal people just trying to help however we can. So I just wanted to be able to give $50 via Cash App to her and her family also. Just to, like I said, just to give, just to be obedient to what it is that I feel like God has been pressing me to do also. So she's gonna get a phone for her dad and $50 and yeah, so I guess it's gonna be a good day for her. What do you think, Laurel? It's gonna be a good day.
I do. Good day for her, but even better day for her father when her father gets across his blessing, because I'm sure he does not expect this at all.
So that was super dope. Super dope to be able to hang with Laurel and have that conversation and everything. And then we were able to actually go ahead and get Erica on a Zoom call. So we're gonna get right into that.
So he's still on speaker?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, so tell your father that he has won the iPhone 10X for free. Okay. And then Josh even has something for him. Go ahead, Josh.
Yes, yeah. So he's won the iPhone 10X, and then let me know if you have Cash App or whatever the case may be. I also want to give $50 via Cash App, just because I feel like this is something that I feel called to also, and I wanted to partner with what she's doing. So I hope this is a blessing to you and your family in these times, and we're just excited for you.
Oh my God, thank you, papá. Dijeron que ganamos. Sí. He said he doesn't know what to say.
Say nothing at all. We just want to do something nice.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Yes.
Bueno, te quiero mucho, papá.
So that was something amazing. Like I said, to just be able to see different people out there just doing and wanting to give away, such as Laurel running through my feed. I thought that was super encouraging. And like me and her, we had a conversation prior to, and we're just like, why we want to do this? Just so that maybe it can inspire one or two other people to do something, whether it's not giving away something, whether it's spending time or just picking up groceries or whatever the case may be. I think I was just inspired by the Michael Todd sermon and just the fact that she was on that same vein. I thought that was super cool, and I definitely wanted to highlight that. So after this, we will be talking about how we can continue to learn what we need to learn. But first, we going into this.
Tell Jesus, this is all we have. Doesn't that sound like what we tell God too? This is all we got. Yeah, I think, okay, once we show Jesus this is all we got, he's definitely gonna dismiss everybody and tell them to go on to the house. And look what it says. I love the Bible. And they said, we have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fish. Unless you want us to go and buy all the people some food. See, they were at a low level. God could have asked them to go buy the people some food, but they said it sarcastically. They didn't want to actually meet the people's needs. They wanted the people to go away so their needs could get met. What would happen if the church stopped worrying about our needs getting met and we were able to be ones to meet other people's needs? That's why we have to get to the level of extreme generosity, because if we don't, we're only worried about ourselves. And so he said, unless you want us to go buy all these people food, this is all we got. Look what Jesus said. He's so gangster. But there were about only 5,000 men and 20,000 people. He said, yeah, okay. And I think Jesus was thinking at this moment, and the guy in his mind, the disciple that's talking to Jesus, was probably like, that just makes sense. We don't have enough. There's tons of people. He's gonna dismiss it. It just makes sense. But the thing you have to understand is tithing and giving offering doesn't make sense. It makes miracles. What God was trying to do was make a miracle while the disciples were trying to make sense. You could even take it further, dollars and cents. We're always trying to make dollars and cents. And God's trying to create a miracle. Somebody say miracle. Yeah. And so then he says to his disciples, that's enough. What you have is enough. I came to tell you, with you working at that job at minimum wage, it's enough. With you on government's assistance, somebody help me say, it's enough. With all the bills that you have and all the mistakes you made and the grace that God has carried you through all of that stuff, he says it's still enough.
All right. The moment you measure your success based off whether your vision has materialized, you become a candidate for discouragement. Welcome back to Crazy Good Talks. My name is Joshua, and today we are talking about how we can put ourselves in the right mind frame to do the right thing, even when we don't get credit for it, right? Even when nobody's watching. And I think my first point to that is going to be my first point, I'm sorry, to that is going to be to separate yourself from the outcome. You got to separate yourself from the outcome. So I remember back when I was selling cars, and anybody that knows selling cars, it could be a very high pressure thing. There's a lot demanded of you. It's a month-to-month thing. What have you done for me lately? Very high pressure. Go out there, get it, go out there and get it, go out there, sell cars. And my mindset, I remember, if anyone, like, to be successful in car sales, it's all about your process, right? You greet the customer, you demo, you figure out needs, you demo the car. It's very process driven thing. And if you can follow that process well, and you can shine in those moments, I think the industry standard was just like, if you had like it was somewhere around 30% closing ratio. That's what you would have. I think that's the average salesperson had, around a 30% closing ratio. And that's just like indoor traffic, people walking in and stuff. So I remember when I like figured that out and I realized something. I realized for me why I felt like I did well or succeeded at selling cars is because I detached myself from the outcome, right? So it's like in the process of demoing a car, greeting a customer, doing all of those things, I figured out my why. Like I figured out like, hey, okay, you know what? This is a numbers thing, right? So if it's 30%, that means that if you're talking to 60 people, you're selling 18 cars, right? So once I figured that out, it no longer became about the result of getting the 20 cars or 25 cars a month or whatever the case may be. It no longer became about that. It became about talking to the number of people that I needed to talk to, right? And when I was talking to those people, I was trying to provide value, right? So I remember I used to always get compliments from customers as far as being like, wow, like you're not like the other salespeople. Like you're not as pushy as you're not pushy like the other salespeople. Like why? And they used to try to play me sometimes as far as like, they try to like engage in this intense back and forth. And I just used to be like, listen, you're going to buy a car, you're not going to buy a car. And they used to always ask me like, why are you so like calm about it? Why do you have that essentially like confidence within that? And I used to tell them all the time, like, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And I know I need to talk to X amount of people. So I'm here to try to provide you as much value as I can. I'm going to show you the car. I'm going to answer your questions. I don't care if it's the competition. I'll let you know what the competition is and this and that. I'll let you do your due diligence. And at the end of the day, if I've done my job well enough, only 30% of the people will still buy from me, right? Only 40% of the people still buy from me. So I understood that. So success to me didn't look like selling 20 cars. Success to me was, did I get to the amount of people that I needed to provide value to? So did I talk to 50, 60 people? And not only did I talk to them, was I able to provide value? And the consequence of that should have been those cars, right? And it's such a simple concept, but when you think about it, it's actually tough to actually grasp, because sometimes you'll go 4 or 5 people in a row where it's just like, you don't sell anything. So you want to deviate from that. But I think that it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing in life, right? Stop confusing the rewards of success with success, right? Write that blog, write the script, write the whatever the case may be. Don't worry about what's going to happen. Don't worry about that. Like, do what you're supposed to do. Do what you can control. And in that day, you've been successful. And then I think my second point winds up being separate. So we've separated ourselves from the outcome. Next, I think we should separate ourselves from the how, right? I think so many people that I've run into in my life, the biggest issue has been like, how am I going to get it done? Why would I do this? Because I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know how this is going to happen. So it's just like, why would I do, like, even when no one's watching, right? Even when nobody's watching, I'll still be kind and give grace. But like, how is that going to come back to me? Like that, I feel like that's the biggest trap that one can fall into, right? Like people always just like, oh, they're never gonna appreciate what I'm doing, so I'm gonna stop doing it. Like that's the biggest trap. Like I feel like you're not understanding why it is that you're doing what you're doing. So understanding those two things, separating yourself from the outcome, separating yourself from the how, I believe that those two things can help you to be able to do things even when no one's watching. Like Walt Disney had no idea how he was going to get Disney World funded when he first created it. He didn't know the how. But it's just like taking the steps that you can take the steps. So it's just, I'm going to close with this. Part of why I've been able to persevere, especially in creative pursuits, is because I intuitively understood what one thing, right? And I kind of understood that if I separated myself from the outcome and I put value in the journey, and I put value in the process, that there is that sense of success or that rewards of success. I do want that. Like, I'm not saying don't have dreams or hope that these things can't be fulfilled, or don't wish for that person to not accept or recognize you for what it is that you're doing. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that when you let go of that result a little bit, you're more able to do things and stay consistent on a day-to-day. All right. So in closing, what would it look like if we applied this in our lives? What would it look like if you did what you felt like you were called to do, no matter what, and the inspiration that others might get from that? What would it look like? Thank you for watching. My name is Joshua, and this, my friend, is Crazy Good Talks.